Dear students, welcome to this English teleteaching program. In our previous class, we read, we discussed a very interesting and motivating story, that is The Beggar, written by Anton Chekhov. You can look at the screen, the writer who is sitting, whose image is there towards your right hand side, and the main character, the beggar, who is sitting folding his arms below. In the first part, we have discussed that this story is a motivating story, how a man has changed his life and how he has left his profession, begging profession, and how he becomes a very reputed personality. That is the really the subject matter or the contents of the story. And let us have a recap before going to the next part. I have already told you there are three parts in the story. The writer has very nicely divided the story into three parts. In the first part, the story begins with actually a begging setting. Let us have the recap and you can recall, you can remember the discussion of the previous class. So, dear students, look at the screen, the most important lines, the story lines or the outlines of the story. The first part can again be divided into three sub parts, which we say SCPs, or actually that is sense group passages. The first setting is, the situation is begging situation. A beggar is begging and he gives his introduction, he gives his identification, and he requests an advocate very politely for helping him, for giving him money, so that he can have his food and he can also stay in the lodge, right. And the second situation is, the advocate observes very critically the beggar's physical appearance, his dress, his voice, so that he recalls and recognizes him. He looks at the high and low overshoes of the person, of the beggar, and remembers that the beggar was begging at Sodobya Street day before yesterday. That is why he realized that, and he became confirmed that the beggar is lying, the beggar is telling him the lies, right. So, what happened? Sajai immediately gets angry with the beggar and threatens him that he will hand over him to the police for his lying, and the beggar really admits his fault and tells the truth, and Sajai, the advocate, offers him work. So, this is how he offers his work, and he accepts, the beggar accepts the actually offer, right. So, this is the recap of the first part. The three things: one thing, begging situation; second thing, recognized by the advocate; third thing, offering of job or offering of wood chopping work to the beggar, and the acceptance of the work by the beggar. This is the most important story lines of the first part. Let us go to see the summary of the second part. So, my dear students, now you predict. Can you predict what would happen? Whether the beggar would really chop the woods, whether the advocate would really give him money, and what would happen? Definitely the beggar would accept it, has already accepted, and do something. Let us see what happened, right. Let us go to the next part. Sajai told his cook Olga to take the beggar to the wood shed and let him chop wood there, but he was too weak to chop wood. Sajai was observing everything from his dining room. He felt sorry for having engaged a drunken sick man to do the menial work. So, you just see what happened. Sajai told his cook Olga, Olga was the name of his cook, his servant, a lady. right? He told Olga to take the beggar to the wood shed, right, and to let him chop wood there. But what happened? The beggar was very weak. He was not so strong. He was not sound enough to chop wood. Wood chopping, କାଠ ଚିରିବାଟା ହେଉଛି ସବୁଠୁ ଗୋଟେ difficult କାମ, and ସେଇ difficult କାମଟାକୁ ସେ ଯେଉଁ ସର୍ଜେଇ ଓକିଲ ତାକୁ ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି, ଘରର କାଠ ଯାକ ସେ ଚିରିବ. Very interesting କଥା. A beggar who is very thin, lean, weak, right, ill health, having ill health, how can he chop wood? So, Sergei the advocate asked Olga the cook, the servant, to take the beggar to the wood shed. କାଠ ଯେଉଁଠି ରହୁଛି ସେଟାକୁ wood shed କୁହାଯାଏ. ସେ ଜାଗାକୁ ନେବା ପାଇଁ କାଠ ଚିରିବା ପାଇଁ କହିଲେ. And Sergei went to the dining room, and through the window of the dining room he wanted to see, to observe, to watch what is going to happen, what would happen then. Although he looked at the beggar, he felt very sorry. So, from this word you can know, you can understand that the advocate was really a kind person. Although he got angry, he was really a kind person. So, he felt sorry for having engaged a drunken sick man to do the menial work. ଏଭଳି ଏକ କଷ୍ଟ କାମ ଦେଇକି ସେ ଭାରି ଦୁଃଖିତ ବି ହେଲେ, but there was no alternative way. So, what happened? Let us see next. Right. An hour later, Olga announced that all the wood had been chopped. Sergei felt happy and paid the beggar half a ruble and asked him to come and cut wood on the first day of every month. The beggar appeared every month and earned half a ruble, although he could hardly stand on his legs. So, look at, actually you can look at the picture. Can you predict what is happening there? Can you guess? The lady is actually holding the axe. The lady is chopping the wood, not the beggar, not the beggar, you see, right. So, this is the wood shed of Sergei the advocate, and the beggar is taking rest. Actually, the lady, the cook, the Olga, is holding the axe and chopping wood. So, after 1 hour, Olga announced that all the wood had been chopped, and Sergei felt happy. He was really very sorry for the old, for the sick and weak man, the beggar. He became very happy and paid the beggar half a ruble and asked him to come and cut wood on the first day of every month. The beggar used to come and earned half a ruble, although he could hardly stand. Although he was very weak, he was able to earn half a ruble, right. So, besides chopping wood, he was offered other work to do, like removing the snow, arranging the wood shed in order, beating and dusting the rocks and mattresses, and he earned 20 to 40 kopecks every time. So, every time, every month he came to the advocate, he chopped wood, he did some other work like cleaning the wood shed, arranging the woods, beating and dusting the rocks, the mattresses. So, ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାରର କାମ ତାକୁ ଅଲଗା ଅଲଗା କାମ. Gradually the advocate offered him other work, and also he was able to earn 20 to 40 kopecks every time, in addition to that half ruble. So, half a ruble and plus 20 to 40 kopecks he was able to earn, right. And we will see, when Sergei moved into another house, he was hired to pack and carry the furniture, and he was pleased with his work and gave him a ruble. He came to know that beggar's name was Laskov. Sergei sent a letter to his friend to offer Laskov cleaner employment of copying. So, dear children, we will see, in addition to his wood chopping work, he was also offered some other work, and what happened, how he worked, how he did other work, and how Sergei the advocate was very happy, became very glad with the work of the beggar. So, my dear students, in a story there are some important actually ideas, important incidents or events, and this part is really very important for the story writer. He has very nicely narrated the story, and when the beggar was offered different types of work in addition to his wood chopping, he was able to earn some more money, right. So, he was at first he was given half a ruble, then he cleaned the wood shed, he cleaned his house, the mattress, the other things, other articles of the house, and he was also given more 22 or 30 or 40 kopecks by the advocate. And what happened? Once Sarjay had to move all his things to another house, he changed his transport from one house to another house, and when he carried his articles, he also asked the beggar to help him to pack and to carry the things, the furniture and other things. And this time what happened? The beggar was very polite, he was behaving normally just like a normal person, an usual person. His behavior was nice, his work was very good, and Sarjay, looking at all these things, the behavior, the work he did there, how he helped in packing and carrying the furniture and other things. So, he gave him 1 ruble, a ruble, right. So, half a ruble, then some other kopecks. This is the development of the story. Now, the owner, the advocate Sarjay, now he is very much happy with the beggar, and he is now happy to give him a ruble, very actually big amount to him. And he asked him, what is your name? So, till now you see, this story writer, the author has beautifully kept the name hidden. He has not disclosed the beggar's name. एपर्यंत पिले सर्जय तांको काम देलेनी, से काम करुची, प्रति मासरे काम करुची, पैसा नउची, किंतु बेगर रो ना जानि नांती. सुंदर भावरे the story writer has not disclosed, has kept the name hidden, and this time when the advocate is happy, he asked the beggar, what is your name? And the beggar said, my name is Laskov. So, that is a Russian name, and now the advocate is able to know that the beggar's name is Laskov. So, he said, Laskov, would you like to do another job, and would you like to go to one of my friends? He said, yes. So, if you go to my friend, you can get a cleaner employment, that means a very simple employment, another job, very good job, and that is one type of copying. So, my dear students, actually the beggar was able to read and write. He was a literate person. From this year, from this incident, you see, when there is conversation, the conversation is going on between the advocate and the beggar. The advocate is now able to know that the beggar is really a literate person. He knows how to write, how to read. He asks him whether you can copy some other writings, and the beggar says yes. So, he wrote a letter, and he actually gave him a letter and asked him to meet his friend, so that he would get a new job, and that is the job of copying some writings, right, and he will be able to get a good amount of money. So, let us go to the next part, right, comprehension questions. You can understand this part beautifully, very clearly. So, we have already discussed 2 parts, and we have also discussed the comprehension questions of first part. Now, you look at the questions. Who was Olga? Olga was Sarjay's cook, and how did she behave with a beggar at first? So, this is very interesting. This is also one of the very important ideas of the story. This is one of the turning points. One turning point, from the high and low heels of the overshoes, he was able to, the advocate was able to know, able to recognize the man. Another, he offered the work of chopping wood, and here the cook Olga, who was asked by the advocate to take to the wood shed, actually at first she got angry and she behaved differently at the beginning. But what happened then? Let us go to the next question. What was the cause of the beggar's ill health? Drinking vodka, right? Actually drinking alcohol or vodka or some other things, or smoking something that is really very dangerous, very injurious to health. That is why that was the cause of the beggar's ill health. The beggar was very thin, he was actually very ill, he was weak, right. That is why he was not able to even carry the axe. So, due to drinking vodka, actually the beggar was very ill, or he had a very ill health. How did Sergei feel for engaging the beggar in manual labor? Actually, I have already told, we have discussed. When the advocate asked the cook Olga to take the beggar to the wood shed, he wanted to watch, he wanted to see, he wanted to observe what would happen. That is why he went to the dining room, and through the window he watched the work of the beggar. And when he looked at him, it was a very difficult task. Chopping wood is a difficult work, that is why he felt very sorry, and the beggar was very weak and he was ashamed of himself. जदि बा एडवोकेट जनक निजे ताकू काम देले किंतु कामटा एते कष्ट थिला, गोटे दुर्बल लोक गोटे भिखारी को, अति दुर्बल लोक को गोटे बड़ काम देले, काठ चिरिवा काम, तेणु निजे भारी दुख अनुभव कले, निजे निजक निजे लज्जित हेले। ओहो हाँ, व्हाट ए डिफिकल्ट टास्क, व्हाट ए डिफिकल्ट वर्क, व्हाट टाइप ऑफ डिफिकल्ट वर्क आई हैव असाइन्ड टू दिस simple, this ill health man, or this man having ill health, or this weak man, right. This is actually not good. This was the feeling of the advocate. Next question, what did Olga declare? You know, Olga is the cook, the servant who was cooking for the advocate, and Olga declared the wood had all been chopped, all the wood had been chopped after 1 hour. घंटे पर सब काट चिरा से कहीदेला। And how much money was given to the beggar for chopping wood? Half a ruble. So, the advocate, when Olga the cook declared that, when he told the advocate that all the wood had been chopped, the advocate gave him half a ruble, right. Next question, what were the other activities the beggar was engaged in? What were other engagements? What was other work? The other work or other engagements were, he was engaged in removing snow. You know, this is a country, a very cold country, and there is snow, and that is why snow removing or removing snow was also one type of work there. So, he was engaged in removing snow and to clear the floor, putting the wood set in order, to arrange the wood, right, in order, and beating the dust of rugs and mattresses. So, to clean the mattresses, the rugs, the shelves, everything. How much money did the beggar get for such work? So, the beggar got 20 to 40 kopecks, I have already told you. So, for wood chopping he was given half a ruble every month, and for the other work, when he was given other work, other engagements, he also was able to earn more 20 to 40 kopecks, right. Next question, look at the statement, well, I am happy that my words have taken effect. Who said this? Sergei the advocate, right. Why did he tell this? When the cook Olga declared that the beggar had really chopped all the wood, he became happy and he said, well, I am happy, I am very much happy that my words have taken. That means, I offered you work and you have completed your work, and that is why you take this money, that is half a ruble. What is the name of the beggar? The name of the beggar was Laskov, right. Next question, what are the cleaner employment for Laskov? So, now you see, I have already told you, when Laskov was given another work at the time of shifting articles from one house to another house, a new house, Laskov was behaving nicely, his behavior was very good, he worked hard, he satisfied the advocate. This advocate was very much happy with his work, with his behavior, and that is why he offered another job, that is a cleaner employment, a very simple and very clear employment, right, a prestigious employment, that is copying writings, right. So, he wrote a letter and he gave the letter to the beggar Laskov and said, you carry this letter and give this letter to my friend, and definitely you can get another job, and this job is very interesting job and clear job, and you can get more money out of your work. What did Sergey advise Laskov at last? You see, Sergey was really a very good person. He was kind enough, he was a sincere person, although he was an advocate. He was able to understand the society, he was able to understand the problems of the beggars. That is why he advised him, Laskov, you please remember, work hard and do not drink, then you will definitely change yourself and you will be a very good human being. So, my dear students, I think you now understand the story better, the first two parts, and in this second part we have already discussed the questions, 12 questions, and in the first part we have discussed there are two characters. The beginning was a begging setting and begging situation. In the second part, the beginning was the work of wood chopping. So, in the first part you just compare, in the first part the beggar was begging, in the second part the part begins with the beggar's work. So, from begging the life changed to working, he started his work, right. And what happened actually, there is a hidden thing, and we will discuss in the third part. Really he is not working, everything is being done by the cook Olga, but we will see what will happen. But the advocate thinks that Laskov, the beggar, actually is doing everything and is happy with him, he is satisfied with his work, and he is also offering another job. He is giving a letter, he asks him to, he advises him to go to his friend, to work hard, not to drink, so that he can change his life. So, let us sum up this part, right, my dear students, let us sum up this part. Part 2, the outlines, very important things. The beggar follows Olga to the woodshed, hesitates to work, his negative attitude towards work due to his ill health. This is one of the most important aspects, my dear students. A beggar who is begging, moving from place to place, who looks very ill, who looks very weak, who is very thin, can he do you think, could he do a hard type of work, that is wood chopping? So, the beggar follows Olga, but hesitates to work, he was not happy to work, and he was negative, he had negative attitude towards this work because he was very ill. So, Sergey the advocate observes the beggar's activities through the window of the dining room. His feeling of kindness, he was very kind, he felt actually unhappy, he was ashamed of himself because he assigned a very difficult type of work to the beggar Laskov, and Olga's information about work and payment of half a ruble to the beggar. So, he offered a monthly work, that means every month you come work and take half a ruble, and every month he came and he received half a ruble. And the beggar's work and behavior at the time of moving to another house was actually really very satisfactory. Sergey's feeling of kindness actually was reflected, and he offered a new job, he sent him to his friend. So, my dear students, the most important ideas here, this part starts with the wood chopping work and ends with offering another job. You just see, the first part begging situation ends with offering wood chopping. The second part begins with wood chopping and ends with offering another work. And now you can predict what would happen, whether he would be able to do that new job, new work there with his with the friend of the advocate or with Sarji's friend, and he would get more money. So, I think you understand, and we will go to the next part. We will see what would happen. Now, I think the time is going to be over. So, thank you very much. Goodbye.